Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Keep those questions and suggestions coming. I get to them as soon as I can. Now, next week I will be back to your suggestions, but for this week, I wanted to build another preset. I'm going to recreate a preset that I made for the Fractal Axe FX3 a couple of years ago. Back then, someone had asked me if I could come up with a preset specifically for the Rush song Limelight. This guy had tried working with other folks, but no one could quite get the delay for the end of the solo just right. He plays in a Rush tribute band, so it's critical for them to get every part exactly right. Long story short, I came up with a preset that he still uses. I based it on a Fractal Factory preset, so I couldn't upload it to Axe Change. However, it is still available on the Fractal forum, and the guys who use it love it. If you're curious, I'll have a link in the description for the video I made. The Tone Master Pro has factory preset number 86 Limelights. It's nowhere near as complex as the Fractal preset, but I still used it as a starting point for my preset. The song Limelight has 5 distinct parts: the intro, verse, chorus, solo, and the outro. The intro and verse use distorted guitar, chorus pedal, and reverb. The chorus is broken up into 2 parts, the clean part and then the dirtier part. The delay pedal also gets used on the chorus. Then we get to the solo, which has a little boost and a lot of whammy bar craziness. At the end, Big Al does a run up the neck in G sharp minor, ending on a D sharp that just seems to hang on forever. Now, in order to do the solo correctly, that last note has to have a really long delay on it. Alex Lifeson has said that for the solo, they took a bunch of amps outside the studio and faced them toward the mountains and then recorded the natural echo. Rush used Le Studio, a residential recording studio in the Laurentian Mountains near the town of Morin Heights, Quebec, Canada. So the solo has regular delay, and then the last note, that high D sharp, has the much longer Laurentian mountain range delay. The outro is the same as the dirty part of the chorus. My plan for this preset was to set up 6 scenes or snapshots, whichever you prefer. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to call them scenes. And of course I'll use switch link so that you can switch from scene to scene with no problem. Like I said, I did start with factory preset number 86, Limelights, and then I saved it as Doug B's Limelight. Big Al's tone doesn't change radically for the solo, it just gets a little boost. So the first thing I did was to pull the green box. Then I added the stereo chorus right after the amp. Next, I made some adjustments to the plexi head. I boosted the volume on both channels, rolled off a little treble, and boosted the mids and bass. Okay, now let's look at our scenes. The first one is main, which uses the plexi amp, stereo chorus pedal, and plate reverb. When you click on this preset, it starts with this scene. The second scene is chorus part 1, which switches to the compressor pedal, the Nashville overdrive, the JC120 amp, the stereo chorus pedal, the stereo tape echo, and the plate reverb. The third scene is chorus part 2, which switches to the plexi amp, the stereo chorus pedal, the stereo tape echo, and the plate reverb. The fourth scene is solo part 1, which is the same as scene 3, but it adds the boost pedal right after the stereo chorus pedal. The fifth scene is solo part 2, and that was the tricky one, and it was the same thing on the Fractal. It's basically the same as scene 4, except that it adds another stereo tape echo with the feedback set to 72%. I added another stereo tape echo because I couldn't get the last notes to ring long enough using just one stereo tape echo. If you don't change scenes, it'll go on for a long time. But when you do change scenes, even with spillover on, it starts to decay after a bit. But I think it holds that high D sharp long enough for now. The sixth scene is outro. It's exactly the same as scene 3, but I added this foot switch right above the solo 2 foot switch to make it easy on your poor brain, which is probably fried after playing that solo. Okay, let's demo each scene. Now for this demo, I'm putting the Tone Master Pro back on the floor. Now I'm not going to play the whole song because I don't want a copyright hit against me, and besides, I'm nowhere good enough to do that solo. I'll do a riff or so for each scene. Now we start off on the main scene which is used for the intro and the verse, going something like this. Chorus part 1 sounds like this. Chorus part 2 sounds like this. Now the solo, which I am not going to even attempt, I'm just going to play a little bit of the scene and that last note of the solo. Do you hear how that note is still hanging on there? Let me hit that note again. So that's it, guys. Main, chorus part 1, chorus part 2, solo part 1, solo part 2, and outro. Oh, I did want to say too, on chorus part 2, I turned down the gain on the amp a little bit so it's easier to go from the... That's it, guys. Limelight. I've uploaded the preset to the cloud. It's called Doug B's Limelight. Try it out. Let me know what you think, and let me know if you've even made any improvements to it. I'd love to hear about it. But above all, get your Rush groove on and have fun. Now, next Wednesday, I'll be having all new content. You don't want to miss that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. All right, guys, have a fantastic weekend, and I'll be talking with you next week.